about this. I'm sorry about this. I don't know what happened. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes, yes, we hear you.
Okay, okay. But I know something got stuck. I don't know what it is. And I'm not that expert when it comes to technology. All right. Everybody sees the screen again? It was there in
Yes.
Africa? Okay, good. It was there in Africa that everything had started. Diwana had made the 6-kilometer round trip on foot 3 times a week. For the last month, she had made it daily. You know, gaily, very happy. She was very happy the last month. Enraptured, her heart beating, extremely happy, as if she were in love for the first time. Okay? When you fall in love for the first time, you're very, very happy. Your heart starts beating very, very rapidly, and she was like that. Okay? Beginning at the outskirts of Dakar, you remember we said Dakar is the capital of Senegal. Brand new houses were scattered like jewels in a landscape of cactus, bougainvillea, and jasmine. Okay, now that's the outskirt. That's the outskirt of Dakar, outskirt of the capital, where white French colonizers live, not native Senegalese. Okay, so it's as if you have two different contradicting worlds, one for the white colonizer and one for the black native, the Africans. The asphalt of the Avenue Gambetta, the street, stretched out like a long black ribbon, okay, like a long black ribbon. Joyous and happy as usual, the little maid had no complaints about the road on her or her employers. Okay, he never complained about the 6 kilometers that she had to walk every 3 times a week, and she never complained about her employers. Who are her employers? A French family. French family. It was a long way. Of course, 6 kilometers. It was a long way. It had no longer seemed so far the past month. Why? Excuse me, especially in the last month before she left Africa, before she left Senegal, she didn't complain, and she never felt that the road was, you know, a long way. Ever since, and here is the reason why, ever since Madame had announced she would take her to France. Aha. Now, this is extremely important. In the last month, she didn't complain. She didn't feel, she was very happy, very, very happy. Because the madam told her that she was taking her to France. Do what? Well, that's the question. Become the maid of the family in France. She's already the maid of the, of course, we use the word helper. The maid is the word used by the madam. Now, she said, I'm going to take her to France. Wow, France. And then France. Diwana shouted the word. Which word? France. Diwana shouted the word France in her head. It's like you know, somebody telling you that they are taking you to America. Oh my God. Wow. America. Right? So Diwana, wow, France. She shouted the word in her head. Everything around her had become ugly. Okay, now I want you to compare. Now, one, she's Senegalese. Two, she lives in Senegal, in Africa. She's going to go to France. Now, she's comparing France, which she doesn't know. Still, she's in Senegal. But you know, that idea of going to France, it's like most of us, we've never been to America. And so America, oh my God, America. Have you ever been to Americano? So how do you know? How do you know? Just imagination, fantasy. It could be a big lie, right? They call America the dreamland. When you go to America, you find out that it's not the dreamland. So for her, everything had become ugly. Everything around her, Senegal, in Africa. So it's like me saying, "Oh my God, Gaza, Palestine. I mean Gaza. I mean, what is beautiful about Gaza? What's beautiful about Gaza? I mean, if you go Tel Aviv is so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that comparison. Well, I don't know Tel Aviv. How do I know that it's beautiful? The beautiful, well, beautiful because it is Palestinian. You know what I'm saying? Now that's different. That's settler colonialism in Palestine. But here we have colonialism. France is France. She's never been to France. And for her, her reality, her homeland becomes ugly. What is France? The magnificent villas she had so often admired seemed shabby. So she started now living in a world of imagination. You want to call it fantasy? Okay, you can call it fantasy. Comparing that France, obviously there are two Frances. The real France, which we will discuss later on, and the imaginary or the imagined France, imagined by Divana. And Divana represents the colonized. You know, if you ask me, you know, about, I have been to France. I visited France. And of course, you know, the first thing I wanted to do is to go to the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower. And so I have I have an image in my head about France. But, you know, reality sometimes is different. So let's see. So now she's fascinated with the idea of going to France. But what is she going to do in France? Why is the family taking her to France? Okay, as a tourist? Of course not. As their daughter? Of course not. As a servant. And she almost becomes a slave. You've already read the story. So let's see. In order to be able to travel from Senegal to France, and in order to go to France, since she was originally from Casamance, a place in Senegal, she had needed an identity card, you know, identity card or a travel document or a passport. But she didn't have an identity card. All her paltry savings went to get one. So she spent all her savings to get an identity card. So what? She thought. On my way to France, let me spend all the money I have to get an identity card. Why? Because I'm going to France. Of course, she thinks that she's going to become rich. She's going to become rich. She's forgetting that she's African. She's forgetting that she's black. She's not white. She's not French. Therefore, she's not privileged. She's not privileged at all. The mere fact that you are born a white family with white skin, you become a privileged person because you belong to the community of the colonizers. He forgets that. Is that you, Diwana? Oui, madame. Oui, madame, came her answer in the Senegalese accent. She spoke from the vestibule, nicely dressed in her light-colored cotton, her hair neatly combed. You know, the narrator is describing Diwana for us, a beautiful African girl. innocent, of course. And I say, beautiful, innocent teenager. Good. Monsieur is in town. Will you look after the children? Look after the children? Oui, madame, she agreed in her childish voice. Okay, we have 10 minutes, okay? So we will be interrupted. But we can, I think we can meet again on Wednesday, if you like, Wednesday and Thursday. We will decide. Okay, good. Monsieur is in town. Will you look after the children? Oui, madame, she agreed in her childish voice. So her identity card read, born in 1927, Diwana was not yet 30. Notice the events of the story take place in 1952. But in the identity card, it says 1927, but most probably the narrative is telling us that she was younger. She's not even 30. But she must have been over 21, still young. So it's between 21 and 28, or rather 30, between 21 and 30. She went to find the children. Every room was in the same condition, parcels packed and tied with string, because they are preparing themselves to leave Senegal and go to France. So they were packing. Parcels packed and tied with string, boxes piled here and there. After 10 whole days of washing, notice, 10 days of washing and ironing, there wasn't much left for Diwana to do. So she spent 10 days washing and ironing, washing and ironing. It's like hard labor. It's like hard labor. And in the proper sense of her duties, she was a laundress, washing, laundry. She was a laundress. There was a cook, so she was a laundress. There was a cook, house boy who helps them do things. Look at this, and herself. This family had like 3 helpers, 3 servants. A cook, cook the food, African of course, a house boy, and Diwana. 3 people, servants. Here, this is important. So you have the master, you have the lady, you have the children, 3 children, and you have 3 servants. Diwana, Madame called. Madam, she answered, emerging from the children's room. Madam was standing with a notebook in her hands, making an inventory of the baggage. She was, like counting the baggage. Movers would be coming at any moment, the movers who would move their luggage and baggage. Have you been to see your parents? So the madam is asking Diwana, before leaving France, have you been to see your parents? Do you think they will be happy? Do you think your parents will be happy that you are leaving with us to France? Oui, madam, the whole family is agreed. I tell mama for myself. So as you notice, broken English, this is a translation, which means Diwana was speaking broken French. I tell mama for myself, which means I have already told mama. Also tell papa, Botopa, she said. I have already told mama and I've also told baba, whose name is Botopa. A face which had been radiant with happiness. When you are about to start a new life, you are about to travel, to go to France. So your face becomes radiant, like shining, radiant with happiness, fixed on the empty walls, and began to fade. Her heartbeat slowed. She would be ill if Madame changed her mind. So she was worried that the Madame would change. that the madam would change her mind. Change her mind about what? About taking Diwana to France. She was worried. Diwana's, look at the description. Look at the description. Diwana's puny black face grew gloomy. She was worried that the madam would change her mind. She lowered her eyes, ready to plead her case, defend herself. There is nothing. You're not going to tell me at the last moment on this very day that you are leaving us in the lurch. So the madam saying, you are not going to tell me that you have changed your mind. So of course, that's not what Diwana is going to say. No, madam, me go, which means I want to go with you. You understand? So the madam was worried that Diwana wouldn't leave with them. And Diwana was worried that the madam would say, don't come with us. And this is why now Diwana is saying, no, madam, me go. I want to go. I'm coming with you. They were not speaking the same language, of course. Here, language doesn't mean French, no. It means ideas, thoughts. They were not speaking the same language. Diwana wanted to see France, the country whose, look, this is the imagined place she's going to, imaginary France, the country whose beauty, notice, beauty, richness, and joy of living, everyone praised. Everybody was talking about joy of living, richness, and beauty of France. She wanted to see it and make a triumphal return. Go to France, see it, and return, making a triumphal return to Senegal. This was where people got rich. Clear? She believed that she was going to become rich if she went to France. Already, without having left African soil, she could see, before going to France, herself on the dock, returning from France. Before going to France, she imagined herself coming back from France, wealthy, the millions, a millionaire, with gifts, clothes for everyone. She dreamt of the freedom to go where she wished without having to work like a beast of burden. All right, she dreamt of becoming wealthy, having millions of dollars, coming back with gifts of clothes, and becoming an important person. If madam should change her mind, of course the madam did not change her mind, but that's what Diwana was thinking. If madam should change her mind, refuse to take her, what would happen? What would happen to Diwana? It would truly make her ill, because she wanted to become rich. She wanted to go to France. She wanted to come back and tell everybody about France. She wanted to come back with millions, wealthy with millions. She wanted to come back with gifts of clothes for everyone. She thought that was the meaning. This is important because I'm going to finish now. Attention. She thought that was the meaning of freedom. She thought that was the meaning of freedom. So here, I'm leaving you with this question. What is the meaning of freedom? As a native Senegalese, as a native African, what is freedom for you? Don't forget this question when you read The Land of Sad Oranges. What is freedom for the Palestinian refugee? The land of sad oranges becoming the land of happy oranges. How do you make it the land of happy oranges? Remember the father? Remember the family? What's the meaning of freedom. Same question here. Becoming rich, coming back with gifts, freedom to go as you wish without having to work, okay, work as a servant. So what is freedom for her? What is the meaning of freedom? Okay, today I will be